What's up, y'all? Nightmare Ball of One, Marking, Blue Moon Extra. Sorry I wasn't on the show last week. My schedule changed. I've been under the weather. A lot of shit's been happening. But let me just kind of touch on some things that I've been enjoying, some things that's been on my mind, some things they kind of talked about on the show that I wasn't there for. I have no thoughts on the Royal Rumble. None. No thoughts at all. None. Not gonna not gonna waste too many brain cells on the WWE. Although, stay tuned because maybe a little bit. But yeah, I got no use for that company, so I won't talk about it much. To be honest with you, that's my New Year's resolution, 2026. Watch as little of that shit as possible. To be honest with you, because I have nothing of value to say, and if it is of value, it's mean. And for some reason, being mean to the WWE is, I don't know. It's kind of low hanging fruit now, man. You know what I mean? We know it's the most destructive entity in the history of pro wrestling. Has done way more harm than good to the history of pro wrestling. Killed territories, which did a lot of harm to the world of pro wrestling. Even though I know the world was going to change later. Obviously, it was pretty clear. Definitely changed how pro wrestling is discussed. Definitely changed how pro wrestling is booked. Definitely changed how cool pro wrestling is. People like to try and figure out, hey, what made pro wrestling not cool? I don't know. The biggest wrestling company in the world being terrible. That will do it quickly. That would do it quickly. Everyone talks about what happened to superhero films. Why aren't superhero films, box office fucking smashes like they used to be? Because they just aren't as good as anymore because the MCU isn't as good as it used to be. That's what it is. When the leader is not as good, it makes everyone suffer. It just is what it is. Single most disruptive force in pro wrestling history. Anyway, what I really wanted to talk about was contract season, man. Just the different movement and contracts and just what's going on and things that interest me. AJ Styles to me is the most interesting thing. Him being perhaps on the move is actually a big deal for all of pro wrestling. Y'all know I get on here and I talk a lot of shit about AEW, but him doing, a few shots, it don't even have to be him on TV week to week if he don't want to do that, but him doing a few shots to wrap up some of the stories that he left dangling before he went into that ecosystem could be huge for pro wrestling. If he really wanted to, really just do his farewell tour, him doing a final match in Japan, be a huge fucking deal. You know what I mean? Him maybe putting over somebody like Yota Tsuji could be huge. Obviously, as I said, him and AEW finishing up his stories with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, doing something with Swerve Strickland, doing something with Darby Allin, it's so many possibilities there that, I really hope he decides to keep going. You know what I mean? Because I think he will ultimately, because there's a lot of smoke. And when there's smoke, there's fire. By the way, y'all gotta excuse me. I'm still getting over this fucking illness, this cold that I got. But when there's smoke, there's fire. So, I really hope he decides, to keep going. That would be awesome. As I said, I just named a few people I'd love to see him against. I want to do one more match in Japan. That's really the biggest thing for me and my fandom. Just one more. Not an extended run, just one more match in Japan. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, interesting. The world is more interesting without him there. If I had to, grade his WWE career, I don't know how you go any lower than like a B plus, man. He was a dude that I was not sure would succeed there, and he had a pretty good career there. You know what I mean? There was times where they pushed him. There was times where he was featured. He was never the top guy, but there were times where he was really featured in. You know what I'm saying? Against like some of the biggest talent in the entire company. Like him, he gave John Cena a hell of a series that people still talk about to this day. You know what I mean? They had the confidence. I mean, however it turned out, they had the confidence to do him and Shinsuke Nakamura as a WrestleMania title match. You know what I mean? Not the big match, but it was a WrestleMania title match. And it disappointing, but, it's cool. I think it's cool. I think he did pretty well there. But he was objectively better outside of there, and I have a gut feeling that he'll be objectively better outside of there once again. But nah, shout out to AJ, and shout out his time in the WWE. But I'm glad he's done with that for what it seems like. Although I've heard some stuff like, oh, it might be an angle. It's not an angle. Also, Evil. I kind of funny. I go from AJ Styles to Evil, but Evil being out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm not going to be one of these people and again be unrealistic and lie about his run there. I'm not going to do that because I don't tell y'all lies, man. I can divorce my enjoyment from what objectively happened. And what objectively happened was, elevated a guy, and then when they weren't pushing him, it was a very effective group, and he was the leader of the group. I think that all of a sudden they're gonna disband the House of Torture? No. Do I think that Ren Narita will just step into the spot that Evil was in? Absolutely. I don't think anything's gonna change in that regard. But it's addition by subtraction. Even though, regardless of how I feel about that group, elevating someone else to take the place of someone who has kind of been, at the top of that card is always a good thing, man. It's always a good thing. Even if I'm not a fan of this group, it forces them to try someone. You know what I mean? It forces, I feel like it's a good thing whenever you are in a situation where you are forced to adapt. You know what I mean? It's sink or swim, especially when things feel stale, which that fucking group especially has felt stale, especially. You know what I mean? And then, as I said, I don't think they're going to, disband the group and change fundamentally how they do it, but it does force them to try someone else, so that's always a good thing. Hiromu leaving is awesome. Like, listen, if you saw his match in Noah at the New Year's show, which saved that show from being a unmitigated disaster, it saved it from being one of the worst pro wrestling shows I have ever seen in my life. He looked, and even before that, like, he looked energized, he looked hungry, he looked like, he looked like 3 years younger. He looked like, a man with passion again, all that stuff. You know what I mean? So, also a good thing. Him leaving, also a good thing. I hope he just ends up in Pro Wrestling Noah in that junior division. Because according to what reports have said, he always just wanted to be a junior. He never wanted to be a heavyweight, according to what reports have said. So, if that's the case, then, he was stale in that junior division, and now he's, around an entire group of new opponents, new matches, all that stuff. I don't see how it's not a good thing. Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd apparently have dual contracts. That's the rumor with New Japan and AEW. I mean, sure, that, I expected Gabe to have one foot out the door anyway, so, it is what it is. Again, it forces Gato to, or whoever's booking now, it's still Gato, but it forces them to just, try new shit. Clark Connor's woman is in AEW, so, it's not very surprising. By the way, if you don't know, his woman is Tekla, who's quickly becoming the most overrated wrestler. And then, I'll get to that, though. I'll get to that. Yeah, again, forces them to adapt. Drilla Maloney apparently is staying for another year, which is good for him. You stay while all these other guys leave. Again, shakeups are always good. We don't have to have some sort of long think piece when someone decides they want to try it in a different company. Tommaso Ciampa is a very good example of that. Tommaso Ciampa was in catering in the WWE. He was just wasting his time and wasting away, just not doing anything of substance. You know what I mean? And just being Johnny Gargano's like homeboy. You know what I'm saying? And like now, if you look at him at AEW, he feels like an entirely different pro wrestler. You know what I mean? And he's doing the same things that he always did. He's still just Tommaso Ciampa. It's just a different environment. And he feels so much more vibrant and so much more just like hungry and all that stuff because he's just in a different environment. The work isn't even that different. He's doing the same shit he always did. It's just now he's in a different environment. And honestly, shout out to Royce Keys, I guess, because he's not Powerhouse Hobbs anymore. Again, I don't know how it's been for him at all, but I imagine it's definitely better than what it was at AEW because at that point he was just stale. He was just stale. He wasn't, he wasn't going to progress anywhere outside of where he was. You know what I mean? We don't need this how's Triple H going to use him and blah, blah, blah. Look, do I have faith he'll use anybody of substance well at all? No, because Triple H is a horrible booker, and that's a horrible company. But him taking a chance to do something different, he definitely should. He definitely should take the shot because guys get stale and guys need to move around. It is what it is, man. It is. We don't need to go. The fucking Twitter just acts like it's too fucking, and not just Twitter, but like social media for pro wrestling just acts like it's two fucking wrestling companies. And either you're with this company or you're with that company. No, that's not how it works. You go to where you benefit financially, or you benefit from a creative standpoint, or you benefit from a whatever standpoint. From a whatever standpoint, man. If Io Shirai and Evil are still together, which a lot of people think they are, you don't think that had a lot to do with his decision to leave? Think about it this way. That man got this past year, he got the biggest push he got since he won the world title during the pandemic. He won the world title during the pandemic. And then after that, he was a mid-carder to a lower mid-carder that everybody overreacted about. But he was a mid-carder to a lower mid-carder, right? You know what I mean? And he's still, but this past in 2025 was the biggest push that he's gotten from New Japan since winning that world title. I would argue maybe even bigger than when he was the world champion during the pandemic. And he still decided to leave. You think his woman didn't have much to do with that at all? You really believe that if he's still with Io Shirai? Come on, man. It's good. It's good, man. Movement is good in pro wrestling. It's good. It's good. You will never hear me complain about movement. Never hear me complain. Because I want this ecosystem to be strong to where it's just more than two companies moving. And everybody's just moving, man. When you feel stale in this one place, you go to Mexico. When you feel stale in this one place, you go to Japan. If you're stale on American TV wrestling, you go back to the indies and you know what I'm saying, you're able to make good money there. Cause when this shit is strong, that's when pro wrestling is at its best. You know what I mean? You gotta get off social media and just seeing motherfuckers argue WWE is this, AEW is this. It's a tired conversation, bro. I just want this shit to be stronger, period. Except the WWE. I actively root for the downfall. But I want everything else to be stronger, period. You know what I mean? So yeah. Like it's all a good thing. David Finlay is rumored to be leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. And look, that's a good thing. I feel like Wednesday is perfect. I feel like he's having this match with Callum Newman. Have him lose to Callum Newman. Have Gato turn on him and then join Callum Newman in United Empire or whatever they decide to do. I've seen some people 100% convinced that this is just a way to pivot the Bullet Club name. I've seen that. You know what I mean? So look, I've seen because I think that actually works for the story, right? Like United Empire was this thing that Will Ospreay created, right? It was this thing Will Ospreay created. Callum Newman wants to get out of his shadow. What better way to do it than killing the United Empire name and just turning it into the Bullet Club, the one thing that Will Ospreay fought against his entire career in New Japan. That'd be great, right? That'd be great. That's too good, though. That's too good. So that's not gonna happen. But I've seen that too. That's chef's kiss, but that's not gonna happen. But yeah, man, it's a good thing. Contract season is always a good thing. Every time, period. People move, good thing. 100%. I want to see what AJ Styles and AEW will look like. I want to see if Chris Jericho is really coming back to the WWE. You know what, man? I'm curious to see what it will look like. Via highlights and reading about it. But I'm curious to see what it will look like. Royce Keys, Powerhouse Hobbs. Curious to know what the end game will be with him. Very curious to know. Speaking of the WWE, I also came on here because I wanted to talk about some things that I've seen that I've liked. This is going to be kind of a shorter one, but some things that I've liked, man. And one thing that I will honestly admit that I thought was pretty fantastic that happened to come across my timeline when I was scrolling. It was on Facebook. I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw this. The Roman Reigns CM Punk segment where Roman decided to challenge CM Punk. Call me crazy, right? Call me crazy. I don't know how the WWE fans feel about this. I don't care, right? From my perspective, that was the best Roman has ever been. The last minute of that, he felt convincing. He said everything with conviction. Everything about him in that moment was perfect. Like, from what he said to how he said it and all that stuff. He was like, the only reason you're here is because I allowed that shit to happen. They asked me, was it cool? I said, yeah, bring him back. That's fine. You go on your little podcast with your homeboy, and then you say all this shit about the company, and then who's left to make, you know what I'm saying? Who's left in this company, and whose life was made harder by you going on this rant with your best friend? Me. You know what I mean? Like, I picked up the slack that you left behind. And now you back thinking, you know what I'm saying, thinking you king shit. And what he should have said is, carrying a belt that the only reason it exists is because I decided not to work on this show. He should have said that, but he didn't. They're not going to do that. I thought he was great. I thought he was CM Punk just be saying stuff. I don't care about that. But I thought Roman was great. I genuinely enjoyed that segment. Am I going to watch the match? Probably not. Am I going to watch WrestleMania? Probably not. But that was a very good segment. Have I seen anything else from the WWE at all? I seen Cody Rhodes embarrass himself and fucking mention the meme about him being black on fucking, you know what I mean? They don't call me Raheem for nothing. And the whole crowd cheered. And you motherfuckers are responsible for this. You motherfuckers making this joke. Now I'm talking to the niggas, all right? I'm talking to the niggas now. You motherfuckers retweeting him in a kufi and dashikis and all this shit. You motherfuckers have done this. This shit wasn't funny then, and it's not funny now. Anytime a white dude can make a joke about his large paraphernalia, because that is the fucking stereotype, and that is how white people viewed us back in the days we were being sold, and he does this shit as a joke, and all these motherfuckers cheer, and it's awkward now because you motherfuckers allowed this to happen. I'm not talking to the white people, because quite frankly, you niggas don't know no better. They don't know no better. White pro wrestling fans are irresponsible as fuck. But y'all niggas are even more irresponsible, because the minute we saw that, we all should have agreed. I'm sure Vic will appreciate this, LV. We all should have came together in that moment and been like, nah, this shit ain't cool. The problem is, it was started by niggas being stupid, because for some odd reason, the WWE could do any sort of racist and weird thing, and you motherfuckers just go along with it. You just go along with it. We all should have, don't get me wrong, pro wrestling inherently is racist. You know what I mean? All around the history of pro wrestling. It's not exclusive to the WWE. However, the WWE is the biggest culprit of this bullshit, right? So immediately, you motherfuckers shouldn't blindly support this shit the way you do. But what y'all did is, you all feed into this dumbass meme to the point Cody mentions it on the air, and you don't understand how harmful it is. You're just glad that he notices you. You know what I mean? Because you motherfuckers are stands, bro. It's just a crowd full of stands. I said I wasn't gonna do this, but damn it, you motherfuckers, you're terrible. You are embarrassing. You people are embarrassing. And it's happened because you motherfuckers are embarrassing. Anyway, moving on. Another thing that I really enjoyed, Saya Kamatani, her latest title defense against Starlight Kid. One of the better Joshi matches that you will see one of the better women's matches that you will see, period. And I'm behind on all the shit I said I was gonna watch because I've been sick, but and other shit been happening, but that match is incredible. Saya fucked her fingers up. I don't know how bad it is. I didn't look, but it looked bad in the moment. But then after they taped it up, they went on to just go on to kill each other. I'm talking about just dropping each other on each other's heads, dangerous fucking spots from off the top, just drama, and like it was times where it looked like Saya would lose and I would have been upset. But it just one of just incredible fucking match. And again, I say it all the time. It is when I see those big, like whether it's Stardom, whether it's Tokyo Joshi Pro, whether it's Sendai Girls or whoever, right? Whenever I see talent all the way from the bottom of the card all the way to the top of the card, whenever I see those Joshi shows with that talent, the way it's lined up, the way it is, the way that talent's lined up, always go, I cannot get excited about these mediocre women here, bro. There are exceptions. Obviously, there are exceptions. I think Mercedes Moné is a great wrestler. I think Toni Storm is a great wrestler. I think Chris Statlander, even though her gimmick sucks right now and she's not believable, is a great wrestler. I think that Stephanie Vakir is a great wrestler. I think Io Shirai, even though Io Shirai's Joshi, she don't count. I think who's another one? I think fuck, I'm blanking. I think Willow Nightingale is a great wrestler, right? But for the most part, I think Athena is a great wrestler. But for the most part, other than the top woman that I'm naming, a lot of these chicks here cannot hang with a lot of the lower level women in Japan. It's just a different thing. When you see like the opener on a Stardom show, right? And then you see like who's supposed to be the mid-level chicks here. Not even just Stardom, just Joshi in general. These chicks here just cannot hang with these women here. And we lie to ourselves. Well, a lot of fans who should know better, they just lie to themselves when they watch these chicks. These women are just not as good. That's why when like I see people go like, oh, she's not bad. Oh, she's entertaining. I don't care. She's not as good. Like, my standards are here, bro. You know what I mean? I don't waste my time with a lot of these chicks that's like, because my standards are here because I consistently watch women like Sari and like Momo Watanabe and like Shuri and like Chihiro Hashimoto and motherfuckers like, and I'm like, bro, you are not these, like none of y'all are these chicks, bro. And I'm sorry, I know that's not fair, but tough titty, because we'll do it with the men, no problem. We'll call LA Knight mid in a minute. We'll do it, no problem. But for some reason we won't do that with the women. It is very weird. It is an odd thing that pro wrestling fans over here do, and I will never understand it. All right, last thing I'm gonna talk about, then I'm gonna get up out of here because I feel crazy. I'm sorry, I feel kind of crazy. I know how I got sick. I know how I got sick. I went to a fucking local Street Fighter 6 tournament. That's how I got sick, man. Motherfuckers just touching each other and touching fucking sticks and stuff, and like this is the culprit. It's sitting right next to me. This is the goddamn culprit right here. I let somebody use this, and I have not felt right since. This is the goddamn culprit. But at least that's what I think. I don't know. That's the culprit, though. That motherfucker right there. But yeah. But damn, what was I saying? So one thing that I've been doing is playing that game Cairn. If you've never heard of Cairn or Karn or Cairn, however the fuck you say it, I think it's Cairn. Doesn't matter. It's about this chick. She's climbing a mountain. She's just climbing a mountain. That's the game, and it is the most stressful, the most meticulous, the most intimidating, and the most rewarding game that I've played in a very, very long time. It is hard to explain without actually experiencing it. It's about $30. I got it on the PS5. I think everybody should play a game. You know what I mean? I'm nowhere near finished. I think I'm like 30% of the way through. But it's special, man. It is a special game. I'm learning a lot about myself and the type of person I am just by climbing this mountain. Oh, and the Super Bowl. I didn't say anything, but yeah, play that. Super Bowl. Shout out to the Seahawks. Shout out to Sam Darnold. I think it's a really cool story. The Jets fans are really salty right now, and I love it for them because they deserve nothing. They deserve nothing. The most whiny, annoying ass fan base in all of sports. Eagles fans are toxic. I'm an Eagles fan. We're toxic motherfuckers. We'll boo you in a second. You know what I mean? 100%. Jets fans, all they do is bitch and moan and complain and whine, and they talk shit about other people's teams, even though these motherfuckers have not appeared in a Super Bowl since 1969. Their last Super Bowl appearance is a few years away from qualifying for Social Security. But they love to talk shit about other people's teams. I think it's hilarious. Like, what are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. Shut your ass up. You know what I mean? You sit there and you suffer like you're supposed to. Shut your ass up. And then they always kind of go hand in hand, right? Most Jets fans are also Knicks fans. And those motherfuckers suck too. Because they don't actually know anything about basketball or know anything about the NBA. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? They don't know how poorly run another franchise who ain't won shit since like the fucking 70s. You know what I mean? Another fucking poverty goddamn franchise. Yeah, they've been good the past few years, but they annoy me too. You know what I mean? And then most of the time, those fans are Yankees fans. Those ungrateful motherfuckers. You know what? I've gone on this rant before about New Yorkers, but New Yorkers piss me off. Especially New York sports fans. They're the worst. They're the worst motherfuckers in the world. But yeah, but shout out to the Seahawks. I just hope they don't rest on their laurels and think like, oh yeah, we just won a Super Bowl. No, man, constantly evolve, constantly improve. I was talking to my boy Phil about this, and he's a Patriots fan. And shout out to them, man. This season, regardless of what anybody says, is a success, bro. It is the greatest turnaround in the history of the NFL. That season. So even if they would have lost that game 60-0, this season was a success. Period. And I'm tired of the weird disrespect for this team. Did the offense play well during the postseason run? Absolutely not. Do they have flaws? Absolutely not. I mean, absolutely. But to call them frauds and shit like they shouldn't have been there, those motherfuckers won 3 playoff games to get there. What are we doing? They won 3 playoff games to get there. You cannot be a fraud and do that. It doesn't happen. Is it 3? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, goddammit. They were in the Super Bowl. There's not too many fraud teams that actually make the goddamn Super Bowl. Not too many. So what are we doing here? Are they flawed? Yes. Did they flaws get amplified and exposed even before this game? Absolutely. But to call a team that is actually good fraudulent is stupid. And you're stupid if you try to do it. You're stupid if you try to do it. That is a good team that got beat by a better team. That is what happened. There's no harm, there's no shame in that. In fact, the game, the problem was the offense was very, very bad. But that defense was good enough to actually win that game. The only reason it got out of hand at the end, but it was relatively tight the entire game because of that defense. But frauds, man. Y'all motherfuckers talk about sports so just generic and just jaded, bro. Just the same fucking talking points and the same fucking buzzwords all the time. You motherfuckers don't actually use your brain when you bring this shit up. Now I'm babbling, but I'll let y'all later. Blue Moon, I'll be on the next one. Hopefully I get over this shit. This contraption got me fucking. But yeah, I'll let y'all, man. Oh wait. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Talk about Karen. No script again. This is me just babbling. Talked about Karen. Talked about the Super Bowl. Talked about free agency a little bit. Talked about the WWE segment I like. Talked about Saya and SLK. I feel like I'm forgetting something. On that note, I'm just going to get out of here. But I definitely forgot something. Y'all take care.